Now they love it. They want the government's boot in their mouth so much that they can taste the leather. But we also had this wonderful Truth Social post over the weekend saying, I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. Trump openly declaring a war on a U.S. city. A city that has told him numerous times, we don't want you here. A city that has already been seeing crime going down without Trump's own need. But this administration loves to flex their muscle. They're going to send in the military into Chicago because it's they want to try to get rid of their sanctuary city policy. Now, we know what Donald Trump loves to do. Donald Trump loves to declare an emergency because he thinks it's a golden ticket to avoid Congress. And quite frankly, Republicans should be upset about this for numerous reasons. One, Republicans should be upset that they are being used and being avoided accountability. And if you're a constituent of somebody who's in the Republican Party, you should be upset with your Congress member for going along with this. Your voice is with that Congress member. Yes, you voted for Trump, but that Congress member represents you. You don't know where your Congress member stands on this issue because he's not voting for this. Donald Trump declares an emergency, snaps his finger, and they go in there and they do his dirty work. This is how we inch ever closer to authoritarianism. To my earlier debate that I had last week with Andrew Wilson, this is a prime example of us consolidating power to the executive branch. This is a prime example right here. But here's the wild thing about this. Jake Tapper asked Tom Homan, should we expect action in Chicago this week? Homan said, absolutely, you can expect action in most sanctuary cities across the country. It sure as hell sounds like this is not just going to be Chicago. It sounds like they're going to be doing places maybe like New Orleans. And here's the thing. I would not be surprised in the slightest if Donald Trump uses some of his Republican cohorts, like Governor Abbott of Texas. We could look at Mike Johnson, for example, that's in Louisiana, to try to convince the governor there to allow Trump to go into New Orleans. Because he's getting pushback from all these Democratic governors. So he's like, man, I don't know how I can go in here. Oh, I know what. I'll just go to my Republican colleagues, and I'll just go into their some of these blue cities in Republican states. And then I can sit there and say, well, look, guys, I'm doing something. But Tom Homan reveals it right here. Tom Homan reveals the big game plan here. The game plan here is about sanctuary cities and trying to intimidate these cities, violating their state sovereignties and violating their own district sovereignties. Okay? I remember a time when there was about, Republicans were about small government. You know, that don't tread on me flag, the Gadsden flag, right? Remember that? Now they love it. They want the government's boot in their mouth so much that they can taste the leather. But here's the fun part. I'm a principled former conservative. One of the reasons I side with the Democratic Party now is because guess what? I've never been okay with the federal government. Large federal government overreach in this regard. I actually said this during COVID. That we should allow business to operate how they want to operate without minimal interference from government. That is my core principle. That is something I stand by still to this day. Federal government should only intervene when absolutely necessary and at the behest of the governor requesting them there. But as Tom Homan says, absolutely you can expect action in most sanctuary cities across the country, revealing this has nothing to do about crime. This has everything to do about sanctuary cities and federalizing and deputizing the National Guard. And you see here Fox News saying, are these protesters actually being financed from the outside? Because there's protests regarding Donald Trump going into some of these states. And saying he says something Homeland Security is looking at the financing of how these so-called organic protesters are happening. Tom Homan said, absolutely, they will be prosecuted too. You see, there's a theme with this administration about quelling free speech. We saw Donald Trump today. There was a blue tent, I guess, that was positioned outside of the White House. It was somewhere in the distance. And I don't disagree. There is very likely they were. I have seen this myself when I have gone to certain protests or I've gone to certain events. There have always been these like small fringe group of communist guys that are kind of like passing out flyers that says the revolution is now. So I don't doubt that this could have happened. But the problem is Donald Trump ordered that blue tent be taken down because he did not agree with their ideology. Same thing's happening here. Tom Homan said, we're going to look into these protesters and make sure that they feel intimidated enough not to protest against this administration. But that's not all. We saw where over the weekend, masked men disappear U.S. citizens into an unmarked van for protesting ICE in Chicago. Someone was asking, who are you? Where are you taking them? People cry out, you're kidnapping them. Agents attacked at least 3 protesters using batons, pinning them face down into concrete, according to witnesses Bianca Pays. ICE later confirmed that it was their agents who detained the protesters, claiming they were impeding federal operations. All 3 individuals were finally released without charges in downtown Chicago, Illinois. They are arresting protesters. And you can see here, a reporter asked Trump, are you ready to go to war with Chicago? Why use the Department of Defense? Trump berated this female reporter, saying, be quiet. You don't listen. That's why you're second rate. We're not going to war. We're not going to war. What? We're not going to war. I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of, what is that, guys? Say it with me. War. And then you have Shavitz asking Homan, a lot of protesters are being bussed in. Is DHS? Oh, this is, yes, Tom Homan saying he's going to look into that. We also saw where federal immigration officials went into a Hyundai plant and arrested numerous undocumented migrants. The little side note on this Hyundai plant, by the way, this was a plant, manufacturing plant that was built, guess when? Built under the Joe Biden administration and opened under the Joe Biden administration, invested under the Joe Biden administration, not Trump. But that happened here, and you can see Donald Trump losing his mind about it. I'm hereby calling on all foreign... This is the crazy part. Listen to this one, y'all. Following the immigration enforcement operation on the Hyundai battery plant in Georgia, I'm hereby calling on all foreign companies investing in the United States to please respect our nation's immigration laws. Your investments are welcome. We encourage you to legally bring your very smart people with great technical talent to build world-class products, and we'll make it quickly and legally possible for you to do so. What we ask in return is that you hire and train American workers. Here's the problem with this, guys. Okay? Listen, I'm not for somebody to exploit labor. But the problem is now you're going to have to go through a whole bunch of vetting processes, which you should be doing already to begin with, to be fair. But again, the problem is that these people here from the Hyundai plant came here on a visa, a worker visa. So, and again, I think it's a foreign company like Hyundai, and they want to make sure that their product is being done correctly, and they were arrested in this raid. We also saw this where a police officer, I believe in Portland, Oregon, ended up shoving. You can see this guy right here. Watch. Shoves the crap out of him. And then we also saw this. This happened today. Pretty crazy stuff. And this is going to be kind of a big part of our talk today. The Supreme Court lifted restriction on Los Angeles immigration stops, clearing the way for federal agents to conduct sweeping immigration operations. The Supreme Court ruled, I believe it was 6-3, to overturn the TRO that was put in place. The TRO essentially said, hey, look, these ICE officers that are doing these roving patrols are essentially stopping anybody that is of a dark skin complexion and speaks Spanish. And so they wanted a TRO put in place. And the Supreme Court just overturned that TRO. And what that essentially allows for now is that officers, and this is from Kavanaugh's own opinion, these officers can now stop any person that they suspect of being, of their ethnicity, right? They can stop a person based on their ethnicity alongside and tied in with the fact that maybe they're at a Home Depot. Imagine this. Imagine this scenario. You're a Latino person. You're walking to your car in a Home Depot parking lot. All of a sudden, it just so happens that ICE official is pulling up to the Home Depot parking lot. And you're walking to your car, and that ICE official stops you, detains you, and asks you for your papers and whether or not you are a U.S. citizen. I don't want to be hyperbolic. I certainly don't want to try to tell people, to freak out. But this is some serious stuff. We've already seen it where immigration officials have jumped out of a Penske truck, indiscriminately going after whoever they see fit. I would argue in this case, stop and frisk is the new policy. If you were a Latino person in this country, you're not going to need just your license anymore. You're going to need your social security card or your birth certificate in the vehicle with you. Otherwise, you're at risk of being ended up detained, deported, sent down to some kind of mysterious station, up to and including potentially deportation to a country you're not even aware of. Yes, it has happened. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notification bell to get notified of all future videos. And I hope you watch the next video. Thank you so much.